Cops name person of interest in Rockford cabby killing. The police are searching for 5 men who they say are persons of interest in the altercation, which claimed the life of one man and left another injured in the crime-riddled community of Rockford in East Kingston. The men being sought are identified as Max, Geodog, Benji, Nikon Linton, otherwise Kostoki, and Okiro Lafesto. Police said the men are being sought in connection with the shooting of a taxi driver. The cabby was shot after he allegedly stabbed 23-year-old Linton, otherwise called Isis, at the premises where they resided. Linton later died in hospital. Reports are that around 11:30 p.m., the cabby was at home drinking liquor and quarreling about an incident in which it is alleged that a man had informed him on his girlfriend who is living overseas. The tone of his voice and the consistency of his argument annoyed other people in the yard, so they reportedly collectively attempted to forcefully evict the taxi driver from the premises. These other persons, the police said, went to the cabby's room, removed appliances, utensils, and other personal items from inside and threw them outside. The cabby, who was next door at the time and heard the noise, went to his room to investigate when he reportedly saw a man with a firearm in his hand standing watch at his belongings, which were thrown outside. The police reported that the taxi driver realized he was outnumbered, reached for a knife from the kitchen sink. The knife was reportedly used to inflict a wound on Linton, who allegedly advanced towards him. The cabby was reportedly shot in the left side of his head. He ducked, ran from the house, and escaped. He was reportedly chased but managed to run to the Rockford police station, where he was assisted to hospital. Linton underwent treatment at the hospital but later succumbed to his injuries. Man facing several charges following shooting incident involving teens. A 33-year-old man is facing a mirage of charges including wounding with intent following a shooting incident in which 2 teenage boys were reportedly shot at. According to detectives assigned to the Kingston Eastern Police Division, David Taylor, otherwise called Pelpa, a farm store operator of Rock Jam Road, Kingston 2, launched a gun attack on a man and 2 teenage boys on Monday, September 18. It is alleged that Taylor alighted from a Honda Fit motor car and aimed fire at the trio. The man and a 15-year-old were hit during the gunfire. The other teen, a 16-year-old, managed to escape unhurt. The wounded were taken to the hospital for treatment. In addition to the wounding charges, Taylor has also been slapped with shooting with intent, illegal possession of a firearm, and illegal possession of ammunition charges. His court date has not been finalized. Is it Andrew? With the deadline for the departure of Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clarks fast approaching, there are growing concern over Prime Minister Andrew Holness's delay in naming his replacement, with increasingly louder whispers that he could move into the role. But there is no indication yet from government sources that Holness is considered giving up the Minister of Economic Growth and Job Creation, which he has described as the key to driving the prosperity he wants for the country to take direct control of the country's purse strings. A high-placed source said Clark is to resign from cabinet and tender his resignation as Member of Parliament for St. Andrew Northwestern on Tuesday. This is before leaving the island on Wednesday en route to Washington, D.C., to take up the post of Deputy Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund (IMF) on Thursday. Clark will likely make his last address on a local political platform, as he has been advertised as a speaker of the ruling Jamaica Labour Party Area Council 1 meeting at Pembroke Hall Community Centre. On August 26, when Holness made the surprise announcement that Clark would leave the job as Jamaica's financial minister to move to the IMF, he says the government has identified successors to Nigel Clarks in both his ministerial and parliamentary responsibilities, and there will be a smooth transition in both capacities. We will provide updates in due course, and the public can expect policy continuity and a continuation of economic achievement that this government has looked so hard to secure. Now, 64 days later, there has been no announcement from Holness, sparking jitters in the financial and business sectors locally and overseas. Among those expressing concern over the delay in naming Clark's replacement is opposition spokesperson on finance, Julian Robinson, who on Saturday told reporters that the delay is unacceptable and sent a bad signal. I am very concerned that 8 weeks after the announcement was made that he would be leaving, and given the Prime Minister's statement at the time that he had someone lined up, that there has been no announcement. We know that he has to depart in the upcoming week, and it is almost as if this is going to be held a state secret until his departure, stated Robinson. This is probably the second most important portfolio in any government, and it is important to know who is going to take over that responsibility, and to go 8 weeks without any indication from the government does not send a good signal to the country or the market, added Robinson. According to Robinson, shortly after the Prime Minister announced that Clark would be leaving, it would have been in good order to signal his replacement. It is an intangible element of confidence which markets respond to, and this level of uncertainty does not bode well for confidence that 2 months after that they would have a surprise announcement, and the Prime Minister said at the time he had somebody, why he would not indicate who the person is, and the person would be taking over at a particular point in time, Robinson noted. But President of the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica, PSOJ, Metriciaga, is not as concerned. He told reporters he understands the challenges faced by Holness in selecting a new finance minister. The truth is, the Prime Minister has a very difficult decision to make as Dr. Clark leaves some big shoes to fill. I expect that after his resignation on Monday or Tuesday, we will hear in short order who the Minister of Finance will be, stated Mr. Siaga on Sunday. So we wait with bated breath, but I don't think that naming somebody before this would have made any difference, added Siaga. In the meantime, a leading member of the financial sector, who is usually willing to comment publicly on national issues, but requested that his name be withheld based on the country's current political climate, argued that Holness moving to finance would not be a bad decision at this time. According to the financial manager, Holness was integral to the policies introduced by Clark, and his presence at the finance ministry would inspire confidence in the market. Whether you like him or not, you have to admit that in the 6 years that he had served as finance minister, Dr. Clark has done well in terms of keeping the country on the right fiscal track, managing one of the most difficult crises of the country as ever seen in COVID-19, and leading the reform of the public sector. UWI Dunlop book goes missing. Matthew Hyde returns to court November 8. The records of those who entered and existed George Lee Hall at the University of the West Indies, Mona, between Monday, February 6 and Thursday, February 9, which were requested by the legal team representing Matthew, who pleaded guilty to assaulting his ex-girlfriend in his dorm room in 2023, cannot be found. The disclosure was made by the prosecution Friday, during what would have been the start of a sentencing exercise for Matthew, who in September this year pleaded guilty to assault occasioning grievous bodily harm, malicious communication, and false imprisonment. On Friday, prosecutors said all but those records were available on Matthew's file, which includes a completed social inquiry report, antecedent report, and psychiatric evaluation report. Matthew, through his attorney Patrick Peterkin, had requested that the record from the University of the West Indies in relation to the signing in and signing out at the hall between February 6 and February 9, the days on which the ex-girlfriend was reportedly imprisoned by the young man. Based on instructions, checks were made and they were not able to find these, so that will not be forthcoming, a prosecutor told the court when the matter was called up on Friday. Matthew's attorney, in briefly addressing the court, said events would not be calling any other witness for Matthew prior to the sentencing. The matter was, however, adjourned until November 8 by Supreme Court Judge Justice Leighton Pusey, as sitting judge Justice Caroline Ty Powell was unwell and could not preside over the hearing. Matthew allegedly held his girlfriend against her will in his room on a block of the hall for at least 3 days, during which time he repeatedly beat her and burned her all over her body with clothing iron. She was subsequently rescued after she managed to communicate her distress using a device. A report was made to the police, and Matthew was arrested and charged. Following a committal hearing in June of 2023 at Halfway Tree Parish Court, the matter was transferred to the Home Circuit Court in downtown Kingston. Remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.